Welcome to Synergy Football League News, week one of the playoffs, all right? Huge race going on. First week we had the Browns, Texans, Seahawks, and Panthers winning. First thing with the Texans. Texans beat the Jags 38-10 in the first week of the playoffs. The Texans are now 1-0 since 2012. It's pretty great to see how far this coach has taken this team. But now he needs to keep up the good work or else, you know. The Texans have a great quarterback off his regular season alone. He had 5,000 passing yards with 50 touchdowns and 32 interceptions. That means he was making a touchdown every 100 yards, but he was also throwing a pick every 150. So as long as Kellen and can keep the picks to a minimum, they might be able to be a force to be reckoned with, but only time will tell, okay? But we also had the Texans in for an interview. We asked the Texans, how does it feel being 1-0 in the playoffs since 2012? And then we also asked them, now that the first game is over, how do you feel about your next game, and what are you going to do to prepare?
Well, Hunter, being 1-0 since 2012, it actually feels pretty good, helping this organization. I came in, as a coach from a different league, the CFL, if you will, So they got a high-powered offensive coordinator like myself, with the play calling. So being 1-0 is pretty good. We're going to turn this franchise around, It's first game of many more to come. And the second question, how do we feel and how do we prepare for the Jets? Well, I talked to Kellen Moore. He told me, he has a chip on his shoulder because he felt like he should have been MVP. So he's going to go out there and prove to everyone and the voters, why he should have been the MVP. And for the Jets, we're going to come out hard. We're preparing. We really don't know much about them, but we're going to give our best, passing attack. It's nothing, secret about what we're going to do. We moved DeAndre Hopkins earlier. We love the guy, wish him the best in, San Diego. But we feel like the players that we have right on the bench, with Rodgers and Jalen Strong, we felt like they have what it takes to take us to the promised land. So we're going to, go through two-a-days right now to just get everything we need down to, to a scientific, whatever you want to call it. But just let the Jets know we're coming. We're coming. We got a date with the Raiders. That's what we want. We want the Raiders because they showed us up in the regular season. So we coming for them. So Blizzy, we go way back, homie. We coming for you. And just remember something. We are the people's champ.
Next we have the Browns. So the Browns came up with an amazing win against last year's champs, the Broncos, 45-21. The Browns made it to the playoffs and are 1-0 for the first time. The Browns may be the underdog story we've all been waiting for. Even with Johnny Football and his late night parties, he's managed to help his team get that first win. Hopefully their big three, Johnny, Duke, and Williams, can become the threat they need to push for the Lombardi Trophy. We had a couple questions for the Browns that they were able to call in and we were talking to them. The Browns had this to say. Now that you beat last year's champs dead cold in the first week of the playoffs, how does it feel and what do you think it means for the rest of the playoffs?
First, I want to say thank you for having me. But, us starting 1-5 and ending the season 8-8, and them, ending the season 13-3, reigning champions coming to our home, we're considered underdogs. But we didn't let that get to us. We knew that we had to win every quarter, all four quarters, until the clock said 0-0. We want to thank Coach for preparing us for this victory. We're hungry. And we're going to continue to play 120% every game because that's how we got here.
How are you going to get your team to the Super Bowl and bring the Lombardi Trophy to Cleveland for the first time ever?
Let's not look too far ahead. Don't get me wrong. It would be great to bring a Lombardi Trophy to Cleveland, especially after last year's tough loss against Golden State in the NBA Finals. But we're going to take this one game at a time. We celebrated. Now the celebration's over. It's time to go back to work. Next week, Oakland Raiders. It's a tough environment, top-tier defense and offense. It's going to get hostile, but we're not going to let that get to us. We're going to stick to our game plan. But thanks for having me. I'm sorry I have to go so soon. I have a meeting with my coaching staff. Go Browns.
All right, so next we have the Panthers, which was a pretty ugly game. We had 48-14. So Panthers kind of won that game, kind of a devastating loss for the Vikings. So we had a couple questions for the Panthers coach after the game, but he didn't really have a lot to say. The only thing he had to say was, I'm staying quiet with the media. Kiddies are on the prowl. That's all I have to say. And then he laughed at me. Then he also said, I'm here just so I don't get fined. Again, I don't know what any of that means. But, then we had the Seahawks versus the Cowboys, another pretty upset game for the first week of the playoffs. I think there was something about the Cowboys crying as they left the field or something. I think they just quit. I don't know. But it was 33-0 for that game. Both teams didn't really have a lot to say. The Seahawks didn't say anything. At least the Panthers gave us some type of response, but because they were short with me, we were short with them. I'm not going to talk about their teams, all right? But after the game, the Vikings did have something to say to their fans. The Vikings had this to say. We had a great season. Everyone was really pulling for us to be the underdog, and we really let them down. I take full responsibility as a coach for not being prepared with a great or better game plan. I hope we have the same talk next year with different results. So the Vikings are still hanging in there. Hopefully next year they do better. They were a great comeback season and got into the playoffs, but it just wasn't enough to cut it against the Panthers. So that kind of stinks. Thanks for joining me on Synergy Football League News, week 1 of the playoff race. We got a lot of talent over here going in these games. I'm really excited to see where they go within the next week when we're going to know who the AFC, NFC championships are pretty soon. We're going to see who's going to be battling it out. Again, thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys next week.